This Operation Cannock, is based around a theft of fuel by a lorry driver. And although we're looking at some footage here that is 2012 and there's an advancement in camera technology, this one was particularly hard because of the light and the way the light moved with the camera lens. So you can see here it's 5:30 in the morning and this vehicle has just turned up. The team are dug into the undergrowth and have been dug in there since 4:30 a.m. as the intelligence from the tracking on the lorry that we'd put on there showed consistently that this lorry was stopping at this location. So the team have dug into the undergrowth and it's a lay-by a large forested area, and the lorry driver is going to jump out of his cab. You'll see he's got a head torch on and he turns the head torch on. He's paused there for the purposes of identifying him for the client. He jumps out of the cab, turns his head torch on, and now he goes into the undergrowth to look for the jerry can which he's hidden earlier on his way to work. So he's now got the jerry can, and you can see the camera lens changes when the light is shining in the direction of the lens. But this is still excellent footage and camera technology for 2012. So he's now going to go to the petrol tank of the vehicle, and you'll see there that he's got his jerry can, he's got a pipe, and he's going to insert the pipe into the jerry can. He's going to create suction. So he's inserted it into the petrol tank of the lorry. He's now going to create suction and he is going to fill the jerry can full of fuel. Now, on this operation, this is the third week in succession that the team have been dug into the undergrowth and that we've got this evidence. And this all came around from the fact that somebody who he worked with told one of the managers that he bragged that he'd never paid for fuel for 10 years. So inquiries led us to being dug into the undergrowth here. We're just filming into the registration number of the vehicle and the side of the vehicle, just so we can gather primary evidence here, evidence that can't be refuted. There he is, still siphoning away. And of note here, he's driven into the lay-by and he's positioned his truck so that he is actually shielded from any passing vehicles. If it was the other way round and he was facing, as we look here, the opposite way, then he would be exposed to any traffic that was coming past as to what he was doing, i.e. somebody could see that he's siphoning fuel. So he's actually, made a conscious effort here to hide himself, clearly not expecting somebody to be dug in the undergrowth there, waiting to film him and his activities. The interesting aspect to this, ultimately, he was arrested by the police based on this evidence, and it was calculated that if he hadn't paid for fuel for all of the years that he said that he hadn't, then it would have cost the company somewhere within the region of £10,000 to £20,000, dependent on how many times a week he had been siphoning the petrol. So he's finished now, so he's just going to put his jerry can on his vehicle. He's going to put his pipe away. And he's going to be into his vehicle and away, and it's only taken him a couple of minutes to do that. Fires up the wagon and off he goes. So what we've actually got at his address is another surveillance officer that's waiting for him to turn up, because again the intelligence that we've got has shown that he then goes from the tracking evidence to his home address, where he stops there for a minute. So we've got an officer waiting there, so as he leaves and carries on his way, surveillance officer is ahead and waiting. The surveillance officer is waiting here at the address. He now turns up at his home. The team that are dug into the undergrowth are all wearing camouflage gear. They've got netting over all of the camera equipment, and the camera is situated closer to the vehicle and it's hardwired back to a battery where the team are dug into the undergrowth. It's a military method that we use, and here he is walking towards his garage at his house with the jerry can to drop it off before he goes on his day's rounds delivering his cargo, delivering his load. So he's picked his wagon up from work, he's gone to the lay-by, filled up with fuel, gone to his home address, he's dropped the fuel off, and now here he is back to his vehicle and away. And again, it's terrible because the lights affect the lens on the camera, given the fact that that technology is now 9 years old. And he then just returns to his vehicle and he drives off. On the next occasion that he did it, we had the police waiting for him, and once he had dropped the fuel off in his home address, the police came forward and arrested him. So straightforward theft of fuel, theft from employer. And off he goes, none the wiser that the evidence has been secured against him.